Welcome back, sports fans, to another outstanding episode of Sports Talk is McKimmie. And this is a week that we're pumped up about, we're excited about. This is the loose cannon David McBee along with the Zen Master Mike Hemme and the one and only Joey Football. We're the triple threat today, baby. You better watch out. Ratings are going to go through the roof, and it is going to be a groundbreaking edition of Sports Talk is McKimmie because we got to talk some Arkansas Tornadoes, and we got to talk the season in general, and then also playoffs.
Talk about playoffs, Dave.
You talking about playoffs?
I think you're talking about playoffs.
The Arkansas Tornadoes in their inaugural season have made the DCFL playoffs. But what a season it's been. You know, we're going to go over the game in a little bit, a preview of the Tornadoes taking on the Arkansas Steelers. But just overall this season, we just finished the regular season this last week. The Tornadoes finished at 3-4 was their overall record. 3-2 in the DCFL. And you know, we've got to follow them. We've broadcast all their home games on hometowntv.net/football, and that's where you'll be able to check us out this Saturday night. But just overall impressions for the season, Mike. You know, I'll go and start with you. Overall impressions of the season from us coming in. We really didn't know what to expect, but 3-4, it's been a successful year and a playoff. Now they're playoff bound. It's been a successful year for the Tornadoes, Mike.
Right, you start the year 0-2 against some formidable competition, some CFL competition, and you look in the DCFL, 3-1. You know, that's a respectable record. 0-3, I should have said, outside of the conference. No. On the road, 0-3, 3-1 at home. Like you said, 3-2 within the conference. Good enough for a number 2 seed, and you're going to be playing a familiar foe this coming weekend, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But I think when you look at this season, and you look at the very beginning, and we got off to kind of a slow start, but boy, when it picked up, did it ever pick up?
Well, I'll tell you, Mike. You know, the Tornadoes too. They've had so much adversity this year. As I bring in the one and only Joey Football, you know, they've had to deal with a lot of different things. They've had injuries. They've lost some very key players on their team over the course of the season. They've had players that even had to move and leave the area for personal reasons and had to leave. But yet the Tornadoes, that train has just continued to roll. But I know, Joey, you got a chance to talk to a lot of the players in the last game. Of course, the biggest one being quarterback Tommy Felicia being out with injury, Joey.
Yeah, Tommy Felicia, from what we're hearing, he's out for the season, Dave. Mike, that's a shoulder injury. And I believe the last home game, we got to see Dakota Sutterfield hit the field first time as a quarterback for the Arkansas Tornadoes. And from what I witnessed down there in the field, I think he did a superb job, excellent job on the field. I think, there was one little mishap that he kind of beat himself up a little bit. I caught him on the sideline and said, hey, man, you got to let that go. Move on back out there. You're doing a great job. After the game, we spoke again, and he said, he says, I was a leader out there, and I've got to take responsibility for my mistakes. But he went back out there on the field, rebounding quite nicely, in my opinion. And I believe, I told him, I said, that shows a sign of maturity as a player. And I think he did a dynamite job. We don't know, or I haven't heard yet, whether we're going to be seeing him as a quarterback for this upcoming game or not. But from what we witnessed last time, I think he'd do an excellent job again. And to see that team pull together, even without their quarterback, man, it was dynamite down there watching them. And the excitement of the players from the beginning of the year to now was just off the charts. And one of the other things I've noticed being out on the sidelines is seeing how they have developed. Some of these other teams we've been competing against, I'm seeing conditioning still an issue, not for the Arkansas Tornadoes. Maybe at the beginning of the year, but right now, towards this end, they're 100%. Looking great.
Well, Mike and Joey, of course, something that the Tornadoes have used a lot this year is improvise, adapt, overcome. That's been kind of the mantra of the Arkansas Tornadoes this year. And, Mike, we've seen, broadcast the games in the booth, and, of course, with Joey on the field, they've had to adapt each game. The offense that they are putting out right now looks nothing like the offensive sets they were having to run early in the year, and they've had to change a lot of offensive sets due to injury. but they've been making plays happen. Dakota Sutterfield, of course, stepped in and did a fantastic job when they played the Arkansas Steelers a couple weeks ago. And the offensive line, I think, is what has really made the difference for the Tornadoes. They have just been dominating on the offensive line at this last half of the season, Mike.
Well, you take these last 5 games and, where the Tornadoes have gone 3-2, and you look at those 2 road losses, and we're talking, they got outscored in those 2 games 24-12 cumulatively. So I mean, they were in both of those games, could easily, have won either or both of those games. And I think one of the things that hurts not having Felicia in there, there was a double threat in the backfield, and so that David Murphy offense, the full package that he wanted to throw, at least had the potential to work the way he wanted it to. Now, without Felicia back there, because make no mistake about it, we call him Tommy Gunn for his arm, but he moved the ball primarily on the ground. And, that 1-2 punch of Felicia and Sutterfield was a lot for defenses to contend with. And so now they had to, change everything up recently. And Sutterfield has a lot of weight on his shoulders. And he's going to, I think, have to carry the Tornadoes through the rest of the season. Of course, he has some nice pieces in the backfield. If you look at the game on the 23rd that we saw, his first appearance at quarterback, his first start at quarterback, different blocking scheme, running inside, had 4 men in the backfield, including him, opening up lanes, Ronnie Enlow and company just tearing it up, getting penetration into the defensive backfield, opening lanes. That's what they're going to need to do again this week.
Well, and of course, we're talking about too, the development of the offensive line, the defense has just been solid all year. Jason Rice has had that defense keyed in. The execution of Jonathan Griffin, of course, Sua, they've been just, getting penetration in the backfield like crazy. But, last night, I'm just going to talk about last night's game real quick. Of course, they played the Arkansas Raptors. It was a team they played in their very first game. It was a game last night that had some distractions, if you could say. They had a tornado warning. How is that? You have a tornado warning when the Arkansas Tornadoes are playing. I mean,
it's bound to happen.
Yeah, so they had a tornado warning that pulled them off the field for about 30 minutes. Really disrupted their offense. They never got the same momentum after that. But both sides of the ball, they play with a little less focus, according to Coach David Murphy and Eddie Elliott, than they wanted to, and made some mental mistakes which were costly. But they are very beat up right now. But despite these injuries, they got several linemen that are hurting. Dakota Sutterfield, sprained his ankle in the first half, which kind of limited the offense. But they're playing hard, and they still had a chance to win despite all the injuries. They were in the game until the very end. And even with them losing last night, I think that they just did a fantastic job. 3-4 when the season started. I was going to be happy, I didn't know what to expect on it, but to finish 3-4 and even losing the game last night, it might have slowed down the momentum a little bit, but they're playing a Steelers team now next week that they beat just 2 weeks ago, and a team that they not only beat, but they dominated on the offensive and defensive line. And I know our producer's telling us we're getting ready to go to break, and when we're going to come back, we're going to do another segment, talk a little bit more about the game next week, but I think overall, just quick, if you can use one word to describe the season, what would be your word to describe the season, Mike?
That's a good one, Dave. I didn't expect that. Perseverance.
Okay, that's a good one. What about you, Joey?
Just awesome. Just awesome.
And the word that I am going to use is overcome. It's been all about overcoming all year, and we've overcome this segment. We're going to come on back for another segment and talk a little bit about the playoff game coming next week. But what a season! What a season for the Arkansas Tornadoes. No matter what happens, it's already been a success. But I got a feeling when we come back, the Tornadoes might be going to the championship game. We'll talk about that when we come right back.
Talking about playoffs?
Yeah, you sound like a little dreamer.
Playoffs?
But you were young and bold, and baby, didn't that change with a wink of your eye? Now no one's talking about those crazy days gone